Okay, well, again, welcome. Thank you for being here with us. This is an exciting new area, really. We've had blue sky topics before in previous years, and I think with varied success in terms of defining projects and so forth. So we know what some of the um, situations can come down to when people propose in these very general areas. But the next slide um, shows really the purpose for this topical area. It's to provide very broad areas supporting strategic nuclear science and engineering topics that you would typically find in, say, nuclear engineering or nuclear chemistry or nuclear physics curricula at universities and research, applied to the nuclear energy mission of NE, of course. So the application should focus on innovative research that's going to be important for the investigator and for the success of the NE mission. And the NE mission, I think we've shared with those in the chat. You can look that up on the website for DOE NE. These projects would be 3-year projects and at a lower level, obviously, than the $1 million at $500,000, but still a significant amount of money for each of these very broad blue sky work scopes. The next slide basically defines what these 3 work scopes are. And I would stress that each one of these could be one of 3 things. It could be an experimental project, it could be a computational project, or it could be a theoretical project. Any of those would be acceptable. For instance, thermal hydraulics and heat transfer, I would define in the broadest sense to include not only water as a coolant applied to current fleet or advanced reactors or anything like that, but also gas as a coolant, liquid metal as a coolant, molten salt as a coolant, and ensuing heat transfer issues. And it could be in-core or ex-core heat exchangers, for instance. So it's rather broad. Again, those applying to this would have to justify and make the argument that the project that they're proposing is critical for the NE mission that's going to revolutionize thought and or applications in this area. The second topic, reactor physics, again, is also very broad. Of course, reactor physics could include transport theory, transport methods, acceleration methods for transport, numerical methods, could include cross-section development measurements, say for fast reactors, could include criticality measurements, could include all different sorts of things, including anything inside the reactor core that's required. So again, this is gonna, you're gonna have to justify the project and make the argument that the project that you're proposing is going to revolutionize or be very innovative in solving problems associated with the operation of a reactor core in the particular kind of reactor you're thinking of. Could be a current light water reactor, could be an advanced reactor, or it could be a new advanced reactor that you're proposing, for instance. So again, very broad. Nuclear chemistry, the third topic, it could be radiochemistry, could be actinide chemistry, could be separations chemistry, anything related to nuclear energy that's going to be important for the success of the program. And the mission for NE, of course, includes current fleet of reactors, advanced reactors, and nuclear waste. So again, it could be applied to any of those areas. So this is an exciting new area. It's These are wide open. These were topics suggested by nuclear engineering department heads as ways of capturing topics that normally would not fall under other work scopes, support students and faculty doing key research in these areas, and it's an opportunity to really present some new and innovative solutions to help the nuclear industry. So I think that's the last slide in this area. Right. So,
hi, John.
yeah, if people have questions, type them in and we can see how we can answer.
Yeah, John, thank you. We do have a couple of questions here and a couple more coming in as I speak. There's a question here, and it involves a little concern about the amount of funding and the funding being spread across multiple PIs and multiple universities. And so for the blue sky topics, will a single PI proposal be possible?
Yeah, that's never been precluded. Yeah, that's possible. Absolutely. We've funded single PIs before in many different work scopes.
Thank you. Does Blue Sky focus on R&D projects, or are educational efforts under workforce training also applicable?
I think that's okay. I think educational things are okay if you can justify it as being critical and not be a first time kind of address for this innovative kind of support. I think that would be okay. Workforce training, education does fall within the NE mission.
Okay, thank you. This was a question that was also asked during the CINR FOA presentation, and we didn't have time to ask this question, and it was asked again. Who will review the relevancy for these, and how will they be reviewed?
The relevancy is going to be done by, I think it was said earlier, DOE, NE managers, a manager. I think we're going to take a very broad view of the relevancy. If you look at the NE mission, it's relevant to the NE mission. The NE mission, again, is stated on the nuclear energy website and put in the chat. Very broad, and it's similar to what we did for the early career last year. I believe, if it goes as I think it will be a go, no-go decision. Again, though, it will be done by the DOE NE managers, and they're going to be taking a very broad view of the proposals as they fit into the NE mission.
Thank you, John.
Mm-hmm.
The next question is, are collaborations with national laboratories and industry allowed and encouraged?
Well, I think we always encourage that, but for $500,000, it's going to be limited with what you can do, because at most 20% of the project could go to industry or a national lab. So out of 500K, that's 100K, so a very limited amount. So, but yes, you could do that if you want.
Okay. The next question is, does a Blue Sky project count towards the 6 applications a PI can submit every cycle?
Yeah, it's part of the CINR, so it counts as one of your 6, unlike the DECP. But yeah, it's part of the CINR standard R&D number of projects, so it would count as one of the 6. Again, 3 as a PI is your limit, and another 3 as co-PI if that's the way you go. But yeah, total of 6.
Okay. Will a multidisciplinary research across the boundaries of the 3 topic areas or include other disciplines such as nuclear materials be considered?
Well, materials doesn't appear here directly. So lots of other places where you can submit material type projects. And you have to submit to one of these. Maybe you could submit a multidisciplinary project to each one of these, I suppose, and tie them together and somehow. But if one gets funded and the others don't, then you're kind of hurting. So you have to have a pretty good strategy for linking all these together if that's what you want to do.
If two strong blue sky projects come to the same scope, say reactor physics, is it possible to fund both, or is it just one blue sky project per scope?
Well, that's a good question because we don't know what the budgets are. I think we're committed to funding one, at least one in each area is our philosophy. If more money becomes available and we have two outstanding projects in any work scope, we'll try to fund two. Last year we could only fund one. In previous years we have funded more than one. So it is possible. Again, it depends on budget.
Do the same limits apply for blue sky as the rest of CINR? So in other words, can someone with an IRP apply to the strategic needs scope?
I think the same rules apply. So if you go back and look at those rules, it's the same. The strategic needs are the same as considered any other project.
Thank you. Could nuclear chemistry including coolant, advanced material interactions? I'm sorry, that's not a complete question there. I guess, could nuclear chemistry include coolant?
Well, if there's chemistry that you're focusing on chemistry in the coolant, yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, this goes back to the relevancy review. So if a proposal passes the relevancy review, the funding will be purely decided by the scientific and technical merit. Is this correct?
That is the goal of the program as it's being shaped up right now. That's true.
Okay. Can I submit multiple applications under Blue Sky as a PI under different scopes?
Yeah, I mean, each one, SN1, SN2, SN3 are all three separate scopes. So you could submit to each one. But you just can't go over your total limit of 6 or 3 as a PI.
And John, maybe I can jump in here. This is Drew Thomas. And I think I'd like to point out that you can submit multiple to the same scope area as long as they are different applications.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
So you could submit multiple to the same scope area as long as they're materially different.
Yeah, that's true of any submission. They have submitting to different scopes have to be different different proposals.
Okay. And then there's a statement that it appears the projects can be high risk as they are advertised. So for example, if the concept turns out to be not effective or the project did not yield promising results, does this affect the PI's chance to get future DOE projects awarded?
Well, that's kind of speculative, and that's true of anything really. But this is a research; these are research projects, so we know some are not going to yield super results or pan out the way they originally were thought. So that I wouldn't worry about that. That's always going to happen to anybody.
Hey, and it looks like we have one last question. It's more general, but I think the answer was missed here. How many applications can a single PI submit as a lead PI?
3 to the entire CINR. Three applications total if they satisfy all the criteria. Go back and look at the criteria that will be in the FOA, right, Drew? I mean, it's all spelled out there.
Yeah, this is Aaron. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, just so that's exactly what I was going to say, John. Just take a look at the eligibility criteria. There's not a different set of criteria for for the blue sky or the strategic need scopes, right? So it's one set of eligibility criteria. So these would count as separate application submissions.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Aaron.
Okay. Oh, we may have one more question that came in. What is the recommended pathway to determine if the blue sky is mission relevant? And also, how would one avoid overlap with existing programmatic funded projects?
Well, I mean, that's why we have the pre-application. You submit the pre-application and you find out if it's passes the mission relevant question. You'll find that out right away with the pre-application. If it's not, then you can either, well, if it is, then you're fine. You can submit a full application. If it's not, you can still submit a full application if you correct it, perhaps. But that's taking a little bit of risk, but you can still do that.
Okay, and then we have someone who just wants some confirmation that they heard this correctly, that multiple proposals under the same scope, so for example, thermal hydraulics, can be submitted as long as the proposal topics or contents are different. Is my understanding correct?
By the same PI?
Yes.
Yeah, they have to be significantly different, though. They couldn't be the same proposal. I think we've allowed that in the past, Drew. Is that not correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, the point you made, John, is a good one, which is they have to be significantly different. Where in this specific case, the fact that it's pretty open and open-ended means that justification will need to be made as well.
Great, thank you. Yeah, anything else there, Anna?
Yep. Yes, one more question just came in. Due to the issue associated with the pre-applications taking a full spot, if the pre-application is not considered relevant, are we able to change the topic, or is the spot essentially used up?
Yeah, it's essentially used up. I mean, if you submit a pre-application, you can't switch something and do it, submit somewhere else. It's got to be in that. It would have to be in that same work scope area if you're going to decide to go ahead and submit anyway. Yeah.
John, maybe I can just add something here. With that being said, as long as that application stays on topic between pre-application and full application, more
Right.
detail can be provided and it can be altered to be more relevant to any mission, right, in between those two phases. So it couldn't change scope areas per se, but it could look significantly different, for example, after revisions are made based on feedback.
Right. This is the problem with having a wide open work scope like this. You can't be totally writing a new proposal if one was kind of rejected, and that wouldn't be fair to everybody else. So you have to stay pretty much on topic to any resubmission.
Okay. Are letters of support needed? So should they be uploaded from industries for university-led projects?
You mean like a letter of industry that says they're going to collaborate, or something like that? I suppose if they're a collaborator or not, right? I mean, it would be important if they're integrated somehow, whether they're receiving money or not. That would be another question.
Okay, thank you, John. That wraps up the questions for the strategic needs area. Thank you.
Okay, good luck.